Hey, welcome back. So now we have a toast popping up, but honestly, it's actually not deleting anything. And now the problem is actually on the back end. It's because, let me just spill the beans here. It's actually because when we do the delete here and we say yes, please do, this guy's popping up, but it's actually not deleting the arrays inside the objects. And this is the first time I had to figure this guy out. It took me a lot of time, so I hope I can help you guys out a bit quicker here than what I had to fight. But the first thing I want to do is figure out, does it actually even send the update to the backend? I just need to know that to make sure that something is actually happening. And we have the network here. If you select this tab, and if you have this blue guy selected, it just takes up more space, so I normally just deselect this guy so I have the full space for the network part. When I do the edit here again, and I do the delete and I say yes, it actually does send a request, and if I open that one I can see that it's actually a put request. If you remember the CRUD functionality, that's actually the update, right? So it does send the right request type and it does send to the right URL with the right name even. So everything there looks fine. But what does it actually send to the backend? Well, it sends a body information set where it actually also shows that week 4 should be the only one left in the week plan. So why isn't this working? Well, it has to do with Lodash again. It has to do the way that Lodash merges two arrays, right? Or actually merges two objects where one of them has a property of an array. And I think the best way for me to explain it was this list that I found on Angularjs.com, where he tries to show the different ways of using something called assign compared to something called merge. And here you can see when you're using merge, it actually does not override everything inside the array. It takes position 1 and overrides it with position 2, but it doesn't delete the ones that shouldn't be there, right? So this one stays in the merge, where here it actually goes in and overrides the entire array with the new array. Okay, and now this might give us some problems later. We'll figure those out as it shows up. We're going to try and change merge with assign or extend. Let's try assign in our case. And where do we do this? We have to touch some backend code now. So let's go into the code. Oh, by the way, if you want to get to my point, you have to do a checkout of version 0.12 this time. 0.2.12, sorry. Let's go into the code and let's have a look at the backend right now. How do we actually save, or in our case update? Let's start at the index file just to get a bit of recap here. We have the put. That's the put request that we just sent, and that's going to hit the controller with an update function. Okay, let's go into the update function in the controller. Scrolling down, looking for the code. There it is. Here's the update function. The first thing we do, if we send in the ID by mistake, we just delete it because we don't want to risk, like here, let's look at the code again. Look at the localhost. We're actually sending in the entire object, including the ID. But what if this was wrong? Then we would actually destroy our database. So we start off by removing this to make sure we don't overwrite the current ID. That makes sense. Back to the code. Then we say find the specific syllabus from the parameter instead of the body ID. Okay? And that's actually meaning we're looking for this guy right here. Okay. I'll just run over this a bit quick because you guys can go back to the previous video if you really want to dig into the details here. Then I say save updates. So that's a function. I'm saying handle if it's not found, but it's found in our case. So I hit the save updates. Let's go to that function up here. And that actually does a merge right here. Now that was the problem. We don't want to do a merge. We want to do an assign instead. Okay, so I'll do an assign. I'll save this. Go back and see if this actually solves the problem. That would be great if that was all it took. Hopefully when I do the save, it'll do a refresh here. It'll load everything again. And we'll try and do an edit again. We'll do a delete. We'll say yes, please delete it. And it's gone. That was all it took. We just had to change that freaking one line and everything is working. So again, go into the Lodash documentation if you want to dig into details between the differences between the merge and the assign function. They're both in here. Or look at this great comparison set that I found by Googling on Delaportit's page. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that right, I really am. And try to figure this out. But the only change we had to do was actually change in our syllabus controller to assign instead of merge, and everything is running. Now why not use the last one, which is extend? Well, I found in the documentation that the new way to get away from extend and get ready for ECMAScript 6 is actually to use assign instead, so that was why I used assign.